Hi and welcome to the PostScript video for BQ9, a session on transferring pensions. Hope you enjoyed my conversation with my colleague Roger Weeks and the weird little Cornish thing at the end. I like to take the mick out of Roger. He's my best mate in the world, so I can get away with it. Now, underneath the video here, you'll find a little yellow box that says click here to download the checklist. And I've made a one-page checklist of the kind of questions you need to make sure your current pension provider answer before you even think about transferring pensions away. So I want to just go through those questions one at a time and just add a little bit of detail where necessary. So the first of those questions is, what is the current fund value? And then the second is, what is the current transfer value? What's the difference? Well, the difference is that, particularly with older plans, sometimes there will be an exit penalty. It's rare, but certainly in pensions which are invested along a with profits technique, a particular kind of investing, sometimes there is an exit penalty called a market value adjustment, and sometimes there just is. Sometimes the pension provider will charge you for taking the money away. So the fund value is essentially the value if you leave it there. The transfer value is the value if you take the pension away, and there may be a difference, so watch out for that one. Always worth asking what funds your pension is currently invested in, and also for a list of available funds with that provider, because it may be that you can optimize your pension without moving it just by changing the current investment split. Okay, it's one of the things you might be able to tweak to make it a little bit better. Definitely ask if they can provide detail of any exit penalties. So not only do you need to know what they might be, but is there anything you can do to mitigate them? Some old plans used to allow you to maybe transfer or make a withdrawal or whatever on the policy anniversary. You know, there's all kinds of weird quirks. Again, you don't see that much these days, but ask what the exit penalties are and see if you can do anything about it. Then we move on to a section on sort of retirement benefits. So ask what the current retirement age is and whether it can be changed. That's fairly obvious. And then what the options are at retirement. So what can you do with your accumulated pot of money at retirement? Can you convert it into annuity? One of the two different kinds of drawdown, capped or flexi access. Can you take what's called an UF+, so an uncrystallized fund pension lump sum? Can you, what is this flexibility at retirement? Really important you know that. More modern pension plans will cover all of those off. Some of the older ones will not, and you'll only be able to buy an annuity. You need to find that out. Always ask them to provide an illustration of benefits at retirement age, makes sense, and full details of the charging structure. And I've put a few things on there which you might need to just ask specifically about. Is there a fixed policy fee? Is there a platform fee if the thing is held on a platform? What are the fund charges? Is there any advisor charges built in? Be surprised how often we see pensions with advisor charges built in, even though the person hasn't seen their advisor for 20 years, right? Ask if there's waiver of premium. Waiver of premium is a kind of insurance which means that the payment into the pension is protected even if you can't work. It's rare, but sometimes it's there. Then we talk about guarantees. So are there any guaranteed annuity rates attached to the policy? This is what we discussed with Roger specifically. Any guaranteed conversion rates, per £1,000 of fund, you will get X amount of annuity at retirement. Ask whether they're there and ask if they're what sort of form they take. Is there any limitations to the form of an annuity in order to get the guarantees? Maybe you have to have it annually in arrears. Maybe it's got to be single life and the guarantees don't apply if you take it any other way. Find that stuff out. Any guaranteed growth rates? We come across plans here fairly often where, if it's an old plan, there's a guaranteed bonus rate in the with profits so that it grows by X amount, 4% per year, guaranteed. Not bad when markets are volatile. Ask if there's any provision in the thing for enhanced tax-free cash and what you need to provide, what information you need to provide to get access to that. Some old executive schemes, as Roger said, may have an enhancement to the tax-free cash over and above the 25%, which is standard. Then death benefits. Ask what the current death benefit nomination is. Usually with a pension, you nominate who you would want to receive the benefits if you were to die. Ask whether there is a nomination in place, and if there isn't, make sure you do one. Ask what the death benefits are. Some old plans, rather than the fund value, you get the return of premiums, sometimes plus interest, sometimes not at all. So you can imagine if those premiums have grown and you've got a £50,000 pension fund, but you only ever put $5,000 into it, back in 1981 or something, then you can imagine only getting the premiums back is a pretty raw deal. So find out what the death benefits are and ask if the pension is held in trust. as opposed to it being paid out directly. Most pensions, certainly more modern ones, are held in a kind of master trust arrangement. It might be that that's not the case for yours. You need to find that out for sure. Now, I can't claim it's an exhaustive list. I'm sure more learned colleagues might come up with some other things to ask, but I reckon if you've got that information, and certainly if you've got more than one, if you have that information from all your providers, it'll really help you to compare different schemes and see whether it's a good idea to leave the pension in place or maybe tidy it up into another more modern, maybe cheaper. Who knows? You need this information to make that decision. Okay, hope that's helpful. Thank you for joining me for this PostScript. Keep coming back every week, trying to add a little bit more value. See you next week.